Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream, making sure everything is good to go. But good to see you all tuning in on TikTok, Facebook, literally everywhere, right after the race. Good to see you all in the comments too, ready to chat about Atlanta. It's always going to be Atlanta to me, but it's been a crazy one. It truly was a wild, wild race. Chase Elliott back in victory lane, of course, at his home track, the hometown boy getting it done. Adam, good to see you in the chat. What a race. Definitely the most interesting race of the season so far. I'm curious for you all, where does this race rank on your list this season? This definitely for me is like a solid, maybe like 95, 96 of a race. Really crazy early on. NC Racing 3, that was a wild one for sure. Can we please repave the track? Richie, my goodness, no. I feel like we just repaved this track. Andrew Kim, good to see you in the chat on YouTube. Finish-wise, superb, but overall, was it a good idea for NASCAR's new in-season tournament to start at a super speedway track where nearly the entire field wrecked and so many brackets got spoiled? That is a great question to pose. And my thought process is no, it's not the best. But here's the thing, too. They said that if a fan had a perfect bracket at the end of the challenge, they won $1 million. Starting it off at Atlanta guarantees they don't have to give out an extra $1 million was like my thought process here. But yes, that was the best race of the year, and almost half the field wrecked. Jason said on TikTok, I thought this was very close to the best race of the year, if not the best race of the year. I love the Michigan race. I thought Nashville was pretty good too. Overall, the past few weeks of racing has been pretty good. David on Twitter saying, sound the siren. Make Atlanta the championship race. No. Very against having a super speedway type of track as a super speedway event because we want the championship to be legitimate, right? I think the thing that we talk about the most, that we're angry about the most, is that the championship doesn't seem to be legit with the whole win and you're in and points and whatever. If we do like a super speedway as the championship race, we're making that whole thought process of what we hate worse. Yes. Is there an updated bracket? I don't see one quite yet. I'm sure NASCAR is going to send one out via email to the media here in a few. So I will look forward to that in my inbox, hopefully when we get there. But let's go through our results real quick as we wait for that to kind of hit the inbox here. Looking at my emails right now. In-season challenge, start your engines. Yes. So I'm sure as we go through this stream, we will get an updated bracket. So we will go there. Podcast picks. Good to see you. If there are 5 new winners in the next 8 races, then Ross will miss the playoffs and SVG will be in. That'll be wild. We've seen scenarios before where we've seen one spot available, one spot left for a playoff spot, or at least 2 spots left. I'm thinking back to, I think this was 2021, 2022. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Looks like Jeff Gluck did post something with the picks here. Good to see Lee Diffie on social media as well, already talking about the race and things like that. Let me look at Jeff Gluck's Twitter page. If you guys were watching the alt cast, I'm curious how that was for you. I was juggling multiple different things while watching this race, so was a little just like all over the place here. So are you ready for the in-season tournament challenge round 2? Let's pull up Jeff Gluck's tweet here so we can all read through what's been going on. All right, in-season tournament round 2 pairings. Get this. Chris Buescher versus Zane Smith. I'm going to eat my words here. I did not think Zane Smith would move on. He did. So for Motorsports, accept this as a formal apology. Ooh. There we go. Hello. Matchup 2, Chase Elliott versus John Hunter Nemechek. I suspected that John Hunter Nemechek would move forward in this, or maybe I didn't, but I was hopeful he would because he did so well at this track in the spring. He's great at super speedway type of races. So that will be matchup number 2. Matchup number 3 for round 2 will be Ty Gibbs versus AJ Allmendinger. Look at that. Another upset there. I think people didn't suspect Allmendinger to move on. Then you have Bowman versus Wallace, Priest versus Gregson, Keselowski versus Dillon, Jones versus Stenhouse, and Tyler Reddick versus Carson Hocevar. I truly do think we're going to see Ryan Priest go very, very far in this. My pick to win the whole bracket challenge was Denny Hamlin. So we all see how that worked. We all see that it did not work so well for me. Let me move my phone here, guys. Sorry. Woo! This is what happens when you're streaming like 5 different things at once. But yes, these are our challenges for the next round, which will be at Chicago. So be on the lookout for that. I appreciate Jeff Gluck updating all of this as he goes along here. But let's look at our top 10 results just so you are aware of how things kind of progressed. But before we do that, I guess let's talk about TNT. We have a question here from Adam saying, your take on the TNT sports broadcast tonight. Listen, it is their first broadcast of the season, right? So there's going to be some things that work, some things that don't. My personal perspective is it was a glamorized Fox broadcast in the sense that you had a lot of the same players. Yes, you had a lot of the same players from the Prime broadcast too, but it felt more buttoned up. It didn't feel as relaxed, I think, as the Prime broadcast did. And do I feel like it's fair to compare the HBO Max broadcast, or I guess the TNT broadcast, I should say, to Prime? No, because they're going to have different feels, but both are both are kind of streaming. So like you have the same type of thought process there. Um, I will say I do think I favor Prime more. I just think I like the vibe better. I thought the chemistry between everyone from pre and post show to stuff like that just gelled together much better, but I don't know. So I'm going to give it another race to see. Nothing against TNT. I will say we were spoiled with all green flag action. Side by side commercials are no commercials during green flags for Prime. For this race, we had commercials during the green flag action, and I was not a fan. So, again, lots to move forward to. But shout out to Danielle Trotta for crushing on a pit road, Alec Ivana for crushing it on pit road. Marty Snyder, as always, is fantastic. But I thought the folks that they had on pit road for this race were very, very good. I will sing the praises of Danielle Trotta every single day. Same thing with Alec Ivana. So they did a great job. Hunter Brown, good to see you in the chat on YouTube. Let's go and look at our results, our top 10 results here, just so you all know. So Chase Elliott, of course, winning this race. And I will say he did a masterclass of a job the entire race. I don't think he put his car wrong most of the time. I think at the end of the day, if you wanted to have a winner that was deserving at Atlanta, it would be Chase Elliott for the way he ran this race. Second place, Brad Keselowski, and I hate this for Brad. Hated it for Brad because he was so close to winning. He did everything right. And typically during these races, you're like, oh, Brad lost another one, Brad. Or like, oh, Brad did it to himself. Brad did everything he was supposed to do. The issue is he didn't have a teammate. He did not have a teammate beside him or behind him in that final lap to get a push that he needed. That was Bowman, honestly. Chase Elliott owes Bowman a beer or whiskey or something because Bowman is the one that won that race for Chase Elliott by giving him a great push and then not supporting Brad Keselowski at the end of that. I mean, why would Bowman support Brad Keselowski? That's a Chevy with a Ford. I don't know. But in the case that Bowman could have maybe made a move, I don't know. That said, though, Bowman giving a push to Chase Elliott is what solidified the deal for that 9 team. Now, it's great to see NASCAR's most popular driver back in victory lane. There's always these questions of, okay, should we get rid of Alan Gustafson? Should we just kind of gut him from the team and pair Chase Elliott up with a new crew chief and hopefully the wins start coming in? Just when the doubt is at its highest, the 9 team performs. So good for the 9 team. Hate it for Brad Keselowski. Of course, if Brad Keselowski won, we would have had this whole comment of an upset because Brad is outside the top 30 in points, and it would have just been frustrating and whatever. But it's always good to see Brad Keselowski win, so I do hate it for him. Obviously, I think his next best shot is going to be at Daytona, which will be the final race before the playoffs begin. So we will see Alex Bowman again, very, very close, but we are going to a track that he won at last year. Of course, that's the Chicago Street Course. So Alex Bowman finishing this race in third. Tyler Reddick battling back from some penalties on pit road, finished fourth. Eric Jones, that Jones boy, finishing in fifth. Zane Smith, eating my words here. I didn't think he'd move on in the in-season tournament. I really did not think he would. And he did. He's moving on. So Zane Smith, 7th. 8th, Ty Dillon had a great race today. 9th, Chris Buescher, and 10th, Carson Osvar. Got to give a shout out to Connor Zilic finishing in that 11th position in that the beautiful Red Bull paint scheme. Just love it. But yeah, very, very interesting race today. Yeah, Zane Smith, 7th, a very good result. Let's see, Ashton, good to see you in the chat. Everyone on TikTok, good to see you. In case you all don't know me, and if you're new tuning in on YouTube too, my name's Taylor Kitchen. I talk about NASCAR literally all the time with my show Above the Yellow Line on the ATYL Media channel. I have an award-winning podcast, Above the Yellow Line, that plays third next to MRN and NASCAR.com, which is pretty exciting. Again, like I said, we talk NASCAR all the time. Typically don't do lives right after the race, so this is a little different, but good to see you all tuning in as we chat about NASCAR. Good to see all the Chase Elliott fans on the comments, whether it is YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Do you think Christopher will win a race this year? Very good question. I really do. He's been gearing towards a win. It's just a matter of putting the car in the right place, maybe not making a lot more enemies than he already has. But overall, I think he's going to be very close to a race win. Good to see you all tuning in. Yeah, TNT kept the same energy, just not as much access as we had with Prime. 100%. I do think the energy was kept with TNT. Again, it's a different vibe because you have some different players, but not that bad. It was an extremely fun race. I would give this race like a 95% if I was rating it out of a 100% scale here. I thought it was really good. Also, I mean, again, a great win for Chase Elliott in his hometown. Has won at Atlanta Motor Speedway before, but this is very special. Yeah, ripped to everyone's bracket. I will tell you, do I have? Yeah, here's my bracket. I'm going to show this on here we go. On YouTube. Everyone can see my bracket. You on TikTok are seeing it this way, but I had Denny Hamlin winning it all. Denny Hamlin clearly is not going to win it all. Was in that huge wreck. I'm going to put it on screen for you all who are on YouTube on the ATYL Media channel, so make sure to check that out. But here's what happened. A big wreck, towards the start of stage 2. It was a bad push, what I saw, at least in what was explained, a bad push between Hamlin and Nemechek, but also below them, the rest of the field just kind of expanded out a little bit. Everyone was trying to go around one another, and it just did not work. So take a look at this for all of you on YouTube. Obviously did not work so well. Everyone from like Hamlin on back just wrecked. Some drivers made it with minimal damage through that incident, which was great. But of course, man, you hate that. And then Ryan Blaney again, a wreck earlier than this, I should say, was just head on into the wall again. Head-on collisions and Ryan Blaney are like moths to a flame, and you hate to see it. But different incident here. I want to show this one more time for you all over on YouTube. But my goodness, just a gnarly wreck where almost every single driver in the field was involved in this one. Take a look. You're going to see some drivers like the 88 diving to the inside as they're on the back stretch. The field gets bunched up, a bad push to Nemechek and Hamlin. Hamlin goes up the track. Everyone kind of spins behind them. It's a whole culmination of a lot of different things happening at once here. But overall, busted my bracket right off the bat. But again, great finish for some of the drivers, not great for some of those involved in that for sure. Bowman is a selfless teammate. Let's talk about that. Yeah, Alex Bowman finishing third and kind of just went with the bigger picture here. He was like, okay, so obviously he needs to win a race, right? He has Chicago coming up on the schedule, which is wonderful because he won at Chicago last year. So that's positive momentum for that team, or at least a positive mindset that this team can go to for that. But Bowman being a selfless teammate, finishing third, he did no wrong. He led some laps tonight. It's just a matter of can he get himself into the playoffs? And the benefit, I think, at this point, either way, I think we were going to see a Hendrick Motorsports car in victory lane, right? Either way, we were going to with how the last lap played out. It was a matter of who. And now Hendrick Motorsports can put all their energy behind the one driver in their stable that has not yet locked themselves into the playoffs. Kind of the same thing that we've seen Joe Gibbs Racing do with Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs is the only driver in that organization that has not locked himself into the playoffs just yet. So what they've done is they actually have Chris Gale on top of the pit box for Ty Gibbs. And Chris Gale is not changing his position or anything like that, or I should say Chris Gabehart, excuse me. It more so is just he's offering an extra set of hands, I should say, on top of the pit box just to kind of help guide things because you want all four of your cars into the playoff fight. Ty Gibbs is not there yet. That all said, we shall see. Really hope my boy Blaney gets a break. Taylor on X. Yeah, poor Blaney, man. You hate it for him just every single time. And just with Penske as a whole, with these types of tracks, they qualify really well. It was a Penske lockout, the first two rows. I'm going to lump Josh Berry into that group. And unfortunately, just never works out for them. They cannot seem to avoid trouble here. But in the entire top 10 was winless this year. Amazing opportunity. Matt Martin on X said, yeah, which was crazy. It was super crazy because the top 15, as the laps were winding down, let's expand that a little bit, hadn't had a win this season. Some of them were chasing their first win in the Cup Series ever. And that's just kind of the excitement, craziness, fun, kookiness. Ew, I hate that. That is EchoPark Speedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway. Very, very crazy. David, good question. Do you feel the criticism that Alan gets is justified? We're talking to Alan Gustafson here because of the strategy calls. He's missed several that took Elliott out of wins the last at least two races this year. Every crew chief is going to miss a strategy call. I think there are some that miss it more than others, right? I think there are some crew chiefs where I'm like, ooh, I don't know. But that said, I think that when the most popular driver is not winning and winning consistently, you're going to have some question marks around it. And you turn to the crew chief mostly for the first part of the blame game here. I think Alan hasn't, I don't want to say he hasn't earned the criticism, but I don't totally feel it's justified in the sense that Alan's doing the best he can. I think it's a total team effort here. I don't think it's fully to blame on Alan, the performance of the 9 team. But I hope at this point, with a win in their belt, and I would say, all things considered for this race, I would consider it a convincing win for Atlanta, that the 9 team can really roll with this momentum and pick it up. I think that they are not super far away from a championship winning team because they have been the most consistent team this season in terms of average finishing position out of the entire year so far. But they need to add race wins to their stats. So hopefully at this point, it gets the monkey off their back and they're able to chase those race wins. Bowman wasn't really helping Chase until the last lap. And that's the thing, too. At what point do you say, okay, I don't know if I have a chance to win the race, so I'm going to help my teammate? And you're put in those tough positions sometimes. But I think Bowman just kind of made a mistake. Did this save Gustafson's job? Was the question we got from Brody on TikTok. I would say yes. If we're kind of going to talk about it being like a saving job and not saving a job thing, I would say yeah. Chase Elliott right now, by the way, I have my TV on to my left on the screen here, is talking to the TNT Sports broadcast, Shannon Spake, Jamie McMurray, and Parker Kligerman. What do you think has caused Brad's fall off this season? I have an answer to this. I do not believe that Jeremy Bullins was the right choice to pair with Brad Keselowski. They've worked together before. They've won races together before. But I do not believe that Jeremy Bullins is the right pick to be working with Brad Keselowski right now. I think there's been too many strategy calls by Jeremy Bullins at this point that have caused Brad to not finish these races in the best position. Some of them driver error, 100%. But I think when you kind of dwindle it down to certain things, Jeremy Bolin seems to be at the crux of some of the issues of this 6 team. Now, to be fair, this race was really good for the 6 team and the strategy calls were correct. However, I will say I think part of it is crew chief there. I can feel more confident saying that there. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, Ty Dillon, 8th place finish. We'll go over the top 10 once more here before we get into kind of the bracket challenge again. Chase Elliott, of course, finishing 1st, 2nd, Brad Keselowski, 3rd, Alex Bowman, 4th, Tyler Reddick, 5th, Eric Jones, 6th, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 7th, Zane Smith, good for Zane Smith, 8th, Ty Dillon, 9th, Chris Buescher, and 10th, Carson Hocevar, and then a shout out to 11th place finisher Connor Zilich here. Good to see y'all. Should have taken the tires at the end. I mean, I think if they took the tires at the end, it could have helped him, but I honestly think Brad didn't have a teammate. I think no matter what tires you do or don't get, you have to have a teammate to help push you to the victory at these types of races, and Brad didn't have anybody to help him there. Unfortunately, the cinnamon on the toast crunch settled to the bottom of the bowl of the milk tonight. Yes, NASCAR.shop. Good to see you. By the way, you guys, if you go to NASCAR.shop/ATYL and use the promo code ATYL or just go to the link and just buy a card, you get 15% off. So make sure to get your trading cards from NASCAR.shop. A little bit of a spoiler of something we're working on together. I guess in the future will be announced on July 1st. Chase Elliott did win, yes, in case you missed it. Of course, if you guys want to look at my bracket again, totally busted because of the big one happening at the start of stage 2. I had Denny Hamlin winning the entire thing. Obviously, that's not the case. We knew, though, that if we went to Atlanta to start this off, it was going to be chaos, right? Then the question becomes, why did we do a bracket challenge when we started it off with Atlanta? You knew all brackets were going to be busted, right? However, it creates chaos and high intensity and uncertainty. And when you make a bracket and you get people invested in, is my driver going to survive the crashes or not? It's going to have a high viewer turnout. People are going to want to watch the race. They're going to want to figure out how to watch the race on TNT. So I think it was a clever strategic move in terms of marketing, in terms of like actual validity to the brackets, not so much. The Dawsonville pool room siren, by the way, is definitely going off. You all know it after Chase Elliott's win. Question for you all. What was your favorite paint scheme of the race? And if it's not Chris Buescher's Cinnamon Toast Crunch scheme, I do not know what to tell you all. My goodness. Connor Hall wins the Thunder Road 200. Love to see that. Thoughts on Ty Dillon's performance? I thought Ty Dillon did great. And here's the thing. I think Ty Dillon is quite honestly an underrated driver. And I got to talk to him earlier this year at the track, and he was doing consistently well, like within the top 15. You saw him kind of racing inside the top 10 a little bit. Got a drink of water. Hydrate. And I asked him like what changed. And I was like, you seem to be approaching the season differently. You seem to have a different demeanor and the results are showing. So what's changed for you? And Ty Dillon told me it's just his mindset. His mindset's totally different. The weight he's carrying with each weekend and how he's holding himself each weekend has changed. Not that there's not, less pressure on Ty Dillon, but he's carrying that pressure differently. I think the mindset change equals dividends to what he's doing on track. I think overall, I think the equipment is also better as well. Ty Dillon, though, is a great super speedway racer. And so going at a track that is super speedway-esque, that is EchoPark Speedway, I think paid dividends. And his ability to stay out of trouble too in this case also helped him quite a bit. Do you think if Bowman follows Elliott in turn 1, do you think he gets a good enough run to win? Yes, I think there's definitely a possibility there. I really, really do. Ooh, we have the good old debate about where Atlanta should be on the schedule. We have the debate here. Oh man, Chris Buescher after the race, TobyChristie.com. RFK Racing controlled a large portion of the final stage of tonight's race. Chris Buescher says fresher tires caused him to get picked off of Keselowski a couple of times. And once in dirty air, it was over. He finished 9th and had a blast with Cinnamon Toast Crunch activation. Good to see that from him. And then Ty Dillon, a quote from Steven Stump. Shout out to Steven Stump for getting this. Ty Dillon, for all you Denny fans out there, I just knocked your favorite driver out. Good to see that there too. Obviously, the playoff picture. Let's talk about that real quick. There's a great graphic. Jet Kraus, or Jet, I think that's how you pronounce it. Jet MDK, in case you don't know him, a great content creator that is on this app too, on TikTok, and even too on YouTube. He always puts out fantastic graphics after the race, and he has the playoff picture here for us. Tyler Reddick plus 128 to the good. He's the first driver up on points alone. Then you have Chris Buescher plus 52, Alex Bowman plus 39, and Bubba Wallace plus 23 to the good. This is where we go below the cutoff line and look at what we have. Ryan Preece minus 23. And we've seen within a 30-point radius of any of those drivers around that cutoff line don't have a good race, things can change in an instant. So like I said, again, Ryan Preece minus 23, Eric Jones minus 49, AJ Allmendinger minus 59, and Carson Hocevar minus 62. At this point, with so few races left in the regular season, you're looking at a win. I still think points-wise, if Bubba Wallace really struggles, Ryan Preece could definitely get in, but Ryan Preece has to be perfect, and he's had a phenomenal season so far. Matt, good question. Who's the biggest underrated driver to you? I would have said prior to this year, Ryan Preece for me. I was very excited for him this season, and obviously is passing with flying colors. So I don't know if you consider him underrated anymore. I think that's a really interesting question. Zane Smith did have a great race. He really did 100%. What other things do you want to talk about with EchoPark Speedway? Let me know in the comments below. Can Ryan Blaney's luck get much worse? No, it cannot. I mean, it could, but it cannot. It's giving shades of like 2020 season Ryan Blaney. Now, luckily for Ryan Blaney at this point in the season, he does have a win. So that's good. So, oh yeah, here's the thing. So now I'm seeing some championship predictions in the comments below too, saying that Byron's going to win the entire thing. I am not going to. Oh, I predicted during for the championship. I said Christopher Bell would win the entire championship. What's crazy is Christopher Bell won those 3 races in a row and hasn't won since. You would have thought that he would have at this point, but maybe not. Zane Smith, I definitely think is underrated. I think he's a driver that a lot of people either aren't paying attention to, but I think Zane is just a very sneaky and very consistent driver. Starting to be more consistent, however, I should say, with this team. What else do we got about this race? Put it in replaceable game. Okay, so here's my question for you all. Where should Daytona's summer race be on the schedule? Should it be July 4th? Should it stay in the race before the playoffs start? My thought process is this. If Atlanta is providing us a better product and we want chaos, to end the regular season, put Atlanta as that final race before the regular season, move Daytona back to July. I know the track might not want the date, but that's the date that it should have. And then Darlington for me. If we still want chaos to end the regular season, then make it Atlanta. Change those dates. If you want grit, toughness, and just legitimacy to end the regular season, make it Darlington. I loved, and I cannot stress this enough. I adored when NASCAR, because of the Olympics last year, moved Darlington to be the final race of the regular season. And this wasn't last year, was it? No, sorry. I'm thinking 2 years ago? Hold on, guys. Hold on. Ah. I'm like panicking because I'm like, wait, okay, that was last year. Okay. Let me back this up. Okay. I cannot stress this enough. I loved when last year, because of the Olympics, NASCAR moved Darlington to the race that ended the regular season. Because Chase Briscoe had to earn that damn spot. He had to earn it against Kyle Busch, a driver that was hungry to get a win and win himself into the playoffs as well. He was hungry for that, right? And I love Darlington as that final race before the playoffs hit, because that's a statement for a driver. When you win at like Atlanta, let's say if that's the race before the playoffs, or when you win, I guess, at Daytona to win the playoffs, it doesn't always make a statement. It is a crapshoot. It is a luck of the draw. It is if I survive a crash and I win, I'm in. That does not make a statement. That does not turn heads. Not in my opinion. I want a race before the playoffs that turns heads, that makes a statement that says, I am here and I'm going to compete for a championship. That's what Darlington is to me. And I would love Darlington to be that race before the playoffs. I don't think that's going to be the case because we all love the drama and the chaos. That said, the offer's still on the table. Somebody should take me up on that offer, and Darlington should be that race. Anywho, we are getting things. Atlanta should be last, put Daytona where Michigan is, and have Michigan in July. Oh, Michigan in July. My concern with Michigan in July would be rain, but I guess from April until like August with Michigan, you're dealing with rain practically every day. I will say too, from like April to August in most parts of the country, like that are in the Midwest or even to like kind of the South, you're dealing with rain practically every day. Joey Parker, compare TNT to Prime and Fox. What's your opinion? Who's best in your opinion? Prime, TNT, then Fox. If we're gonna add NBC in there, I'd say Prime, NBC, TNT, Fox. I'm not gonna make that ranking final yet because I want to see the full 5 races for TNT before I give my final opinions here. Let's look at the YouTube comments. Lisa seems to agree with me here with July 4th weekend. Murph, okay. What else do we got? Put Talladega as last race before the playoffs. Oh, we're looking at trouble there. Let's see, what else do we have in the YouTube comments? Oh, here's a good point to make here too. Here's a good. Oh, I'll show you guys my diecast in a second. We'll show diecast in a second. Let's talk about the post-race interview for Chase Elliott, because Chase Elliott, NASCAR's most popular driver, has been said to have the personality of a piece of cardboard. I think when you get him in a certain situation, he has personality. He's just very reserved. I think Being reserved does not equal lack of personality. That's my take, at least. But Chase Elliott's post-race interview was so good. He seemed to be on the verge of tears. Winning means so much to Chase. He knows the pressure that's on him, not only by his team, by his organization to win races, but his fans, by the sport itself, right? If you're going to be NASCAR's most popular driver, you better be winning races, right? And for Chase, this meant so much at his home track. Um, and that's the thing too. This comment says it all, David. As much as Chase fans complain about Allen, he's a ride or die with him, 100%. How many more new winners do you see before the end of the regular season? Well, shoot, let me look at the schedule. NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Because up next we have Chicago. I think we're going to get a new winner at Chicago. I don't see us having a repeat winner there. I could be completely wrong though, and I'd be totally fine with that. Then we have Sonoma. I think we're going to have a winner that we've already had this season. Like put Kyle Larson on that win maybe. Maybe we could see like a Christopher Bell win there too. After that, you have Dover. When you look at Dover, I think immediately to Toyotas. I think we're going to see another winner there. That's not new. So far I'm counting one new winner. I think Indianapolis Motor Speedway, not a new winner. Iowa, maybe not a new winner. Watkins Glen, I think we could see a new winner there. Most of my new winners are coming from the road courses. Richmond, no. Daytona. So I think there are 5 slots left for the playoffs, for a driver to win and be in, knocking those out on points. I don't think we're going to get 5 new winners before the playoffs set. I think we're only going to get 3 at most. Confidence in 16 different drivers, I feel, this year. Let's see. I mean, hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. The drivers that I have in the championship fight that I predicted at the start of the season are already locked in, so I'm here for chaos. I'm here for fun. I definitely think that that Chris Buescher will have a shot to get a win at these road courses coming up. I'm not scared for him at all to make it into the playoffs. I think he should be okay. Let's see what else. I think Josefar wins. I think Josefar definitely wins probably before the playoffs start. Joey, you think Josefar wins, but after the playoffs start? Yeah, big win for Chase, 100%. My goodness. Let's see what else. Your Talladega being in the round of 8 is so bad. I totally agree with you. I agree with you, Kyle. On TikTok, I see it. Yeah, if anything, I would say I think we're going to see Chris Buescher win before the playoffs hit. I think we could see Carson Hocevar win before the playoffs hit. I'm trying to think of like who else new could we see. I think I think Brad would likely win at Daytona. There has to be some redemption for Brad in here somewhere. I pray to God that Brad gets some redemption. But what else do we got? Bubba Wallace could. I honestly think at Daytona we're not going to get a repeat winner, and Daytona could be the thing that's Ty Dillon's going to win it all. Ty Dillon is going to win the NASCAR Cup Series championship in 2025. Andrew, no, I mean, he could, but there could be some upsets here. I really do. Tyler Reddick should be able to get a win 100%. What happens if there are more than 16 winners? That is a great question. So if there are more than 16 winners in a NASCAR season, and obviously with more than 16 winners, not all of them are going to be in the playoffs. So at that point, you go off of like tiebreakers, points, playoff points, etc., to determine which 16 drivers will be in there and which driver will be on the outs. I would love to see Eric Jones win a race. Eric Jones has won the summer Daytona race before. He could do it again. I understand when he won it, he was with Joe Gibbs Racing, but he could still do it again. Hunter said, hot take. I wish they'd revert the oval back to the roval back to the oval. Not a hot take, I don't think. I definitely think they should. At least to me, it's not a hot take. Have you seen what happened to Bowman Gray? Oh my God. Bowman Gray, there is something in the water there. There's something in the water because the crap that happens there is just insanity. It is pure insanity. Yeah, dude basically like jumped in the air and like I guess like almost like karate kicked with both his feet into the windshield of another car. His feet didn't go through the windshield, obviously, but kicked that. That was just, yeah. 2311 drivers had better start winning per Denny's comments. Yeah. No, I agree. It's about time. Also worth pointing out, but Elliott was likely in on points. Here's the thing too. Yeah, Chase Elliott's win does not really change the playoff picture. He was the highest in on points already, so there was no really any shuffling of the other drivers below that point. Best race of the season. So, would we say that this was the best race of the season? A show of hands in the comments. Would you all say this was the best race of the season? Would you guys say that there was another one that maybe placed higher than this? My thing is Michigan I thought was phenomenal. I thought Michigan was phenomenal. I thought Nashville was phenomenal. Um shoot, I'm trying to think of like the other races recently cuz I think recently we've been spoiled a little bit with some great races. Most of you guys are saying yes. Most of you are saying yes. We're seeing yeses. It sure was. It was a good race. Ooh, somebody said heck nah. 600 was better. Yeah, Nashville and the 600 were very good races. Um, I think for this race, Atlanta is so wonderful because you have the ability to pass. There's still obviously the concern and frustration with dirty air. I get it, but yeah, the ability to pass here. Yeah, now we have to go back to road courses. Tommy, I'm with you. Twitter, with you on TikTok. Tommy, I'm with you. Mm-hmm. Good question. Can it be the best race of the season if half the field wrecks? I don't think so. That is a valid point, and that is the point that I actually brought up. I was in a group chat with some friends, and I was like, and everyone's like, "This is the best race ever." I'm like, but half the field like wrecked. Okay, half the field wrecked. Do we feel we can justify calling it one of the best races if everyone's wrecking? And I don't know. I think when you take out part of the competition. Now, granted, not a lot of them, but a good number of them were able to get back into the race because they were able to take their cars to the garage and make some repairs and get back on track, upping the car count there. But I guess my hope is that we aren't calling it a good race because of the wrecks and because of the carnage. I hope we're calling it a good race because there was passing, because there was some really intense action there. I hate nothing more, and this is just my personal opinion, when people say that was such a good race because of the wrecks. And I'm like, are we actively cheering for these teams to like shell out millions of dollars or thousands of dollars on repairs? Or are we actively cheering for wrecks that could potentially hurt a driver? I'm not a fan of it. Now, I will say when I first started watching NASCAR, I really liked the wrecks. That's what was intriguing to me. But then I learned about the strategy. I learned about the drivers and their backgrounds and the crew chiefs and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, there's more to cheer for than just wrecks here. Can't complain about that. Not the same people winning TBH. That's fair. That's totally fair. Who's your favorite driver? Ooh, that's a good question. I know I've been asked that a few different times. I don't really have a favorite driver. That might shock you guys. Some of you guys in the comments are like, okay, Taylor, sure. Sure. Now, I have drivers that I really liked when I started watching NASCAR. I will say I like Terry Labonte, obviously retired for quite some time now. When I first started watching NASCAR, the drivers that got me into the sport were Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney. And then I moved over to like being a full-time fan of Ryan Blaney and the Penske bunch. And since I've started working in the sport in 2022, I don't really have a favorite. I just want these drivers to do well. I cheer for good stories is really the thing here. We're going to see more wrecks as the regular season gets closer to ending. 100%, Michael. And here's the thing, too. You also have this in-season bracket challenge to think about, too. Now, a lot of drivers have said they're not putting a lot of weight into this in-season tournament at all, which I don't blame them. I mean, at the end of the day, your big overarching goal needs to be getting into the playoffs, which can coincide with the in-season tournament, which is just trying to win a darn race, right? If you win a race or you finish higher than the guy you're competing against, you move on to the next round, right? So for this, I get it. We're gonna see some more wrecks. We're gonna see some more crazy moves, but it's just because it's getting down to the wire. These teams are getting desperate. They're seeing their shot at getting to the playoffs slip away. And what fixes all that is a win. So you're going to do whatever it takes. Now, I hope to God we do not have a situation like last year, which I think at this point, NASCAR made themselves pretty clear when we were not going to have a situation like that, where we saw Austin Dillon just junk two guys to get a win, get into the playoffs, and then NASCAR just revoked all that. So we do not need a Cody Ware win, Nathan. That is not something we need. Half the field wrecked and the race was still good afterwards. So, Tyler, that's fair. That's totally fair. The back and forth switching of positions up front was great. I totally think it was. It was a high-speed chess match, which is what you typically say about Daytona. That's not Daytona anymore, you guys. With how these Gen 7 cars run, how these teams have kind of adjusted for the fuel save and stuff like that, that's not Daytona anymore. It's not even really Talladega anymore. Atlanta is now becoming the high-speed chess match that is within NASCAR. That's a great example of it right there. And with Atlanta, you have such an ability to change positions for the lead. You have such an ability to just get good runs off of your other competitors, get good runs off the corners, and just really go for it. I think when you have a track like Daytona and Talladega, you can't really do that anymore, right? Atlanta is truly a phenomenal track. I know we were all really nervous when the repave happened a few years ago. We're like, oh, like they're going to ruin Atlanta. But comparing the old Atlanta to the new Atlanta is so wild because they're two totally different things at this point. Let's see, what else do we got? We see we got some Penske fans in the chat. Love that. 8 races left in the regular season. My question to you is how many new winners will we have before the playoffs starts? Good question. I talked about this a few minutes ago. I truly do think that with 8 races left, I think we'll only have like 3 new winners. I do not think we're going to get 5 new winners to fill off those final playoff spots. I could be wrong. I'm okay with being wrong in this case, but I really only think we're going to get 3. I think the road course races provide ample opportunity for a new winner. I think Chicago will get a new winner. I think we're going to get a new winner at Daytona. I think we could get a new winner at Sonoma as well. So I'm going to mark those as my 3. Imagine if we could get the other races to have passing like tonight without a drafting package. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you. Probably the most aggressive I've seen Chase race. Maybe the best he's driven on an oval. 100%. I don't want to say that's the best he's driven on an oval ever. But I will say for Chase Elliott, I think he kind of got to a point where he was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose here. He was so far ahead in points that if he wrecked out this race, it wouldn't have been the end of the world for him. He still would have been ahead on points. He saw that he had a car to win the race and he just decided to go for it. And I'm curious with his mindset for this race is, did anything shift? Did he go after this race like he goes after every other one? Because I saw the same thing you did, Gabe. I felt like Chase Elliott was way more aggressive than we're used to seeing him. So I think that's a very valid point. What the in-season tournament should have featured was whoever wins it, if they have already won, gets a bid, I guess, a bid into the next round. Otherwise, a new winner would get into the playoffs. Oh wait, hold on. No, you did the same thing over again. Okay. Yeah, in-season tournament. Are we even paying attention to it? Is my question too. My thing is like if it's not going to hurt the overall competition, I'm not opposed to it. I think the overcomplication of the seeding process turned a lot of fans off to the in-season tournament, but I think it's added an element of excitement, quite honestly. So, and that I'm okay with. Any closing thoughts as we wrap things up? Checking my email. Here we go. Yeah, lots of stuff that NASCAR had to compile tonight with stats and stuff. So let me read some of these stats to you guys for Chase Elliott's win here. Chase Elliott won the Quaker State 400, his 20th victory in 340 Cup Series races. This is his first victory and 10th top 10 of the 2025 season. This is his second victory and 9th top 10 finish in 14 races at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's see. Brad Keselowski posted his 12th top 10 finish in 22 races at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It is his 4th top 10 finish of 2025, most of those coming towards the latter half of the season. Alex Bowman has his 5th top 10 finish in 15 races at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Shane Van Gisbergen is the highest finishing rookie. And William Byron still leads the point standings by 37 points over Chase Elliott. And everyone's like, how's Chase Elliott that far up in the points because he hasn't won a lot? Because Chase has been consistent. He's been one of the most consistent drivers of the field. Let me actually read, hold on. Let me read you his average finishing position. His average finishing position this year is 10.278. It is one of the best in the field, and that will win you championships. And maybe not this format, because if you win and you're in, it doesn't matter. But if we did not have the win and you're in situation, I can guarantee you Chase Elliott would be more than a one-time NASCAR Cup Series champ because he is consistent. Ryan DaCosta, good to see you in the chat. A couple of the big dogs are out, and I think that might allow TNT to talk about people they normally don't, or people they normally would not when they get to Chicago. 100%. I think part of what we miss in NASCAR sometimes is overall storytelling, and that's just not overall storytelling when it comes to just like, okay, Taylor, like, are we talking about like lead changes and stuff like that? No, I'm talking about some drivers that might be considered back markers, drivers that don't get a lot of attention. I think when you have this in-season tournament and you have drivers that did make it through, like Ryan said in the TikTok comments, if you have drivers that made it through that don't get a lot of attention, this is their chance to shine. I think too, sometimes with road course races, they can get a little dull. You need something else to talk about. And trust me, with an in-season tournament and with some crazy drivers in contention, you're not going to run out of things to talk about. So at one point is Daytona Kyle Busch's only chance? I think it's his only chance. I don't think we're going to see a masterclass at Sonoma. I think Daytona is Kyle Busch's only shot here to get into the playoffs. What else are we talking about here? All right, folks. It is now 12:30 on the East Coast. I am likely going to go to bed. It has been a day. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, go to AboveTheYellowLine.com to learn more about me. Also, click all the links in my bio in the description to find me on all social media platforms for every single thing that I post. It's all NASCAR related, as always. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, AboveTheYellowLine.com or at AboveTheYellowLine on all social media platforms to keep up with me, all the content I do. I love talking to you all. Ryan, Sam, Ashton, everything so much. Thank you so much. And hopefully, next week we will get back to kind of more regular content, a full race recap pre-recorded on YouTube, and we will go live after that. But I'll keep you up to date as always. Thank you.